Hello Blazers, it is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian. How you guys doing today? Welcome to a brand new video. In today's video, guys, we're actually not going to be talking about Russia. I know, this is crazy, right? Today, we're going to be talking about a country that is Russia's closest neighbor and perhaps the country that is the most similar to Russia, which is Ukraine. I wanted to discuss and show you guys probably the most interesting and the most surreal case of life imitates art that you guys will probably ever see in your entire lives. Let me start from afar, okay? You guys know that in 2016, when Donald Trump was getting elected as the president of the United States, a lot of people were saying that Donald Trump has no presidential experience, has no political experience whatsoever, and he's also a reality TV show host, right? And you know, people were like, this is ridiculous. We're electing a guy whose most known quote is "You're fired," and who's also most well known for appearing in Home Alone 2 for 2 seconds. Well guys, what if I told you that the current president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, is actually a reality TV star and show host as well? And not only that, but 5 years before getting elected as the president of Ukraine, he actually starred as himself in a TV series about himself becoming the president of Ukraine. And to this day, nobody knows if this is just a coincidence or if this all was a planned presidential campaign that's been going on for more than 5 years. Alright, now let's start out with a bit of a short backstory here. Vladimir Zelensky, the current president of Ukraine, was born in 1978 in the Ukrainian city of Kryvyi Rog. When he was still a school student, he started participating in so-called drama or comedy club known as KVN. I have to explain this. Basically, KVN is a thing that roughly translates to as the club of the funny and the witty. Basically, KVN is like a huge show in Russia in which students that form comedy clubs or drama clubs together can basically participate in some sort of humorous competition. So basically, every single club participates and competes against each other, and the funniest ones, the ones that win all the competitions, they basically get promoted to higher and higher ranks, and eventually the highest ranks of these comedy clubs, they actually compete in a TV show, KVN, which is shown on the first channel in Russia, which is the main channel. Basically, this show, this humorous competition, has been going on for like almost 60 years now, ever since the Soviet times, and it's one of the most popular shows in Russia, period. It has a huge audience. So a lot of people that end up on the show then become huge producers in the Russian media entertainment, they become actors, they become stand-up comedians, writers at comedy shows, etc. And this is exactly what Zelensky's career path was. He became a part of one of these comedy clubs, KVN, and then they slowly made their way up to the ranks, to the highest ranks, and they made their way to the Russian TV, and they formed a comedy club called 95-й Kvartal. So Zelensky was essentially the front face and the leader of this entire comedy club, and they've won a bunch of awards, a bunch of these competitions, and eventually he got noticed by Ukrainian TV and Ukrainian TV producers, and he became a huge star on Ukrainian TV, producing and starring and being the host in many entertainment and comedy shows in Ukraine. And so yeah, he was a very successful comedian in Ukraine, and also he created his own TV channel, which was actually mainly Russian speaking, and he basically became a Ukrainian celebrity. Now, as you guys know, in 2014 and 2015 there was a lot of bad blood between Ukraine and Russia, the annexation of Crimea, the Ukrainian civil war, etc. And after those events, Zelensky started showing his political side. He created his own political party, and also in his shows and his stand-up comedy, he started making fun of Russian politicians, including Putin. If only he knew that, like 5 or 6 years later, he'd be sitting at the conference table with those exact same people he's making fun of. Life is crazy, okay? And after that, in 2018, Zelensky announced that he's actually going to be running for the president of Ukraine, and in 2019, in a landslide victory with over 73% of votes, he won, and he became the president of Ukraine in 2019. So yeah, that's the story of his life, but we glanced over one major detail, is the fact that, once again, he had a huge TV series, a huge TV show, where he basically played himself and became the president of Ukraine inside the TV show, and it might just be the most genius political campaign of all time. So, in 2015, Zelensky, as part of his TV channel, I guess, produced and starred in a huge TV show which is called Sluga Naroda. This TV show became crazy popular. Just on YouTube, a lot of the episodes of the show each have over like 6 million views, and the compilation of all episodes has like over 13 million views, so this show is pretty crazily popular, and that's just YouTube. It's also been shown on TV in Ukraine and also Russia, believe it or not. Now, there's actually a funny story that is connected with this show running in Russia. The thing is that one of Russia's biggest comedy entertainment channels called TNT actually bought out the rights to show this show, Sluga Naroda, where Zelensky becomes the president, in 2019, which is exactly when he was actually going to become president. So, but the thing is that there was a little issue with it. You see, guys, there's a particular scene in this TV series that makes fun of Putin and refers to a very popular Ukrainian saying that, insults Putin pretty badly. Just watch it, I'll explain it.
Патек Филипп, Вашрон Константин, Бриге, Хубло. Знаете, кстати, кто такие носит?
Кто?
Путин.
Путин Хубло?
Да.
So in this scene, the newly elected president in the TV show is shown watches that he can choose for himself to wear as the president. The prime minister in the show says that this is a watch that Putin actually wears, and that happens to be a watch by the brand Hublot, to which Zelensky in the show responds with, Putin Hublot? The thing is that this is a reference to a very popular saying that I'm not sure I can say because I'm probably gonna go to jail, but it's a reference to a very famous Ukrainian phrase that's been used during the protests in Ukraine and, against Putin and Russia and stuff like that, which pretty much sounds the exact same and insults Putin directly. And so, of course, the Russian TV was kind of iffy about running this particular part, so they cut it out in the actual screening of this TV series on the Russian TV channel TNT. But what happened is that the news actually got out that they've removed this part that, makes fun of Putin from the TV series, and basically I guess the Russian government stepped in and the Russian TV channel TNT had to take off the program from the ad. They couldn't show this TV series anymore on their TV channel because of that one Putin joke. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to tell you about this because I think it's a pretty telling example of freedom of speech in Russia. Anyways, now let's actually talk about the TV series itself. What is it about? So the TV show is called Sluga Naroda. The funniest thing is that the presidential party that Zelensky ran with as a president in 2018 and 2019 actually was named it had the exact same name. It was also called Sluga Naroda. So once again, life imitates art. So what is the TV show about? Basically, Zelensky plays the role of a regular person that accidentally becomes the president of Ukraine. The main character of the show is Vasily Goloborodko, who is just a regular history teacher in Ukraine. He's shown as a completely regular person who is actually recently divorced, has a son, and actually lives with his parents at the age of over 30, which is kind of sad. And he's just a regular person who's faced with real problems. For example, his family gets affected by rich assholes. For example, his father is being taunted by some young prick on the street who can't even park his car properly, and he cannot even say anything to him because that young guy is the son of some huge politician. So yeah, he just works as a regular school teacher, and the TV show itself just shows a lot of problems that the usual normal working class people in Ukraine and countries like Russia, Belarus, etc. It's all the same, honestly. The everyday problems that they run into, corruption, the lack of any attention from the government, etc. The blatant nepotism that is everywhere, etc. So by the movie storyline, the next presidential election in Ukraine is coming up, and during one of the lessons where, the main character is teaching that, his students are being called in to help create the booths for voting or whatever inside the school, because in Russia, voting usually happens in schools. Sorry, I'm so used to saying Russia, I meant to say Ukraine, but also, of course, in Russia and Ukraine, it's literally the same system. So, it's post-Soviet countries, it's all the same. Anyway, Zelensky's character, the teacher, gets really, really mad and starts screaming at his colleague, another teacher, about how he's really pissed off about the fact that, all these elections are just bogus, we keep electing one corrupt politician after another. He gets really, really mad. And so what happens is that one of the students of Goloborodko records him with his cell phone and basically uploads that to the internet, and the clip goes viral. Apparently it gets over 8 million views, and essentially without his interest or without his approval, what happens is that the video goes viral, and apparently all the people that have watched it, they become fans of this, and they want to vote for him as the president. And what happens is that his students actually create a crowdfunding campaign so that they can get enough money for the teacher, for the Zelensky's character, to pay money to the government essentially to actually be approved as a candidate for the election, for the presidential election. And so they collect the money, they pay the money, and eventually Zelensky's character, Goloborodko, just a regular history teacher, wins the presidential election and becomes the president of Ukraine. I would say the show is pretty okay. It's not like hilariously funny, but it's not bad, honestly. And there's a lot of pretty funny moments that essentially just make fun of the way that, the presidential system and the governmental system and everything works in countries like Ukraine and Russia and Belarus, etc. Essentially when you become the president, everybody essentially bows down in front of you. All the people that used to disrespect him and not care about him, now they suddenly try to be on their best behavior around him and stuff like that. There's moments where the president, Zelensky's character, he comes into like a regular bank and there's regular people standing there, but then it turns out that those are not actually regular people. Those are actually like Ukrainian special agents that are just there to pretend to be regular people, which is like a reference to the fact that Putin actually has agents that pretend to be real people around them. This has been spotted multiple times, like same people appearing in different places and stuff like that. And there's a lot of moments which show that like in our countries like Ukraine and Russia, people that are in power are cared more about than regular people, because like as soon as he becomes the president, like an entire team of workers come to the house where his family lives and start like repairing the house, the apartment building. His dad gets stopped for like breaking the traffic rules, and when the cop sees that he's the father of the president, he's like, you've done nothing, sir. I'm sorry for stopping you, things like that. There's also this one scene which is like a complete copy of that Key and Peele Obama greeting, that famous video of like Obama greeting different people and like acting differently. There's like a scene where he comes into like a presidential spa, and if the trick in the Obama Key and Peele was that he was like acting really friendly with like black people, and he was like more formal with white people. Here he doesn't really want to be very up close and greet people that look a bit gay, which I thought was pretty funny. So yeah, the series basically shows all the problems of the corrupt political system in the ex-Soviet countries. But the thing is that it also shows Goloborochka or Zelensky, who basically plays himself, like I said, like it's literally down to the little details I've noticed in this. Like for example, Zelensky himself is from a Jewish Ukrainian family, right? In the TV series, for example, his mother in some moments speaks with a very like old school Jewish Russian or Jewish Ukrainian accent where she can't pronounce the letter R properly. She says R instead, which is like a stereotypical Russian Jewish thing or Ukrainian Jewish thing. So it's down to the littlest details like this. Zelensky himself is Jewish Ukrainian, and his family is also implied to be Jewish Ukrainian. His entire look, the way he dresses, the way he speaks, the way he acts, it's all the exact same as Zelensky does in real life. And here's the thing, at some point this feels like this goes from a comedy show to an advertisement of Zelensky as being a possible candidate for president. He's shown to be a person of the people, a man of the people, a regular working class person who has a regular family and who's also, doesn't really want all the luxuries of being a politician. You see, throughout the entire series, he keeps getting offered all these luxuries that a politician in his position gets. So he's offered luxury clothing and luxury watches and free women. Everybody just bows down in front of him, people that used to disrespect him, but he doesn't want it. He's always like reluctant to accept it, and he feels weird about it. There's a very big accent in this movie on the fact that all of this he doesn't want. He just wants to be a good person. He wants to stay a man of the people. And the thing is that this is exactly the stance that Zelensky himself had. In the beginning of this video I kind of compared Zelensky to Trump a little bit, and they're completely different in their politics or whatever, but there's one thing they're actually close in, is that they're both like businessmen. They're reality TV show hosts, they're producers, they're self-made men who don't need to be in power, in political power, to get rich. Because in Russia and Ukraine, not so much in America probably, but in Russia and Ukraine, there's a very big stereotype, and which is true by the way. It's not really a stereotype that usually a person wants to actually become a politician or become part of the government just to embezzle the country, steal, and become a corrupt official, and basically just to get rich. But that's the thing about Zelensky, is that he does not need to get rich. He's already balling, He already has a huge media conglomerate. He already is a producer of multiple shows. He has no incentive to be a corrupt politician and steal money, which is exactly very similar to Trump, right? You know how one of Trump's biggest gestures was to like, lowering his presidential income, his salary as a president as low as possible because he doesn't need it. He's there to make America great again, and he's not there to make money because he already has money. Well, Zelensky had the exact same stance, essentially, the exact same campaign in this regard. So yeah, all of this raises a genuine question. Was this just a TV show that happened to be a coincidence that he actually became a president later? Or was this all a huge political campaign that has been going on for way longer than usual political campaigns go for? Honestly, I think it's the second, because the thing is that this was not just a one-time thing, you know, it's not like he just made this TV series in 2015. The show basically only ended when he literally became the president, so like it all tied in very nicely, you know, it's very much a crossover episode with the TV series and real life where he actually became president. The first season came out in 2015 as a TV series. The second season, well, it was not actually a season, it was a full-length movie, so the sequel was a full-length movie, it came out in 2017, and the third part of the Sluga Naroda saga also came out as a TV series in 2019. So it was just a rollout throughout the years, and it literally ended right before he actually became the president of Ukraine. So the way this all ran through and throughout the years actually fits so perfectly to him actually becoming the president, and the fact that his literal political party has the same name as the TV show and the movie. It just kind of makes me feel like this is probably the smartest presidential campaign of all time, because it's honestly genius. Like, he used all of his resources, his fame as a TV show host already. He basically used it in order to create an image of himself as the man of the people. For 4 years, he's been advertising himself essentially indirectly as the next president of Ukraine. And by the time that he announced his presidential candidacy, he already had a huge rating because people already saw him as the president of Ukraine, even though it wasn't a TV show. But people have seen him as the president of Ukraine for 4 years straight, so they were like, I mean, why not, right? So yeah, guys, I don't know what it is. In my opinion, it's the most genius political campaign of all time, and I want you guys to share your thoughts down in the comments. But yeah, guys, I think this is one of the most surreal things that's ever happened, and this goes even a level beyond anything that Donald Trump did, because Donald Trump did not have a TV series where he pretended to be president for 4 years before actually running. But yeah, Mr. Zelensky, well played, my friend, well played. That's something very interesting you've done here. Anyways, guys, I guess that is going to be pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you guys did, please make sure to slap the like on it. As well, guys, if you want to support my channel, if you want to support me, make sure to go over down in the description to my Patreon link in there. Donate to it. I would gladly appreciate it if you guys help me out through these tough times. I would gladly appreciate it. And also, you get an invite to my Discord, which is pretty cool. And yeah, guys, once again, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.